Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, family. Get out and take a walk sometimes. After my walk, and I'm going to suggest everybody, if you get a chance and the weather is amenable, get out and take a walk sometimes. After your meal or after a tough phone call, do that because it's important that we get back to loving ourselves. Today's episode is actually about self love. I've titled it Getting Back to the Good That's in You. What I mean by that is, in a world like this where we emphasize meritocracy and competition, what happens is we lose self-worth. We don't appreciate ourselves for the things we do. I used to be a school teacher, and we used to do amazing things. I mean, teachers did amazing things with hardly any resources and, working overtime. And it just seemed like the next day or the next week, it's like we didn't do anything. It's like we whatever our value was, it was just tied to that one thing. And now you have to go about and try to relearn, or worse, re-earn that respect from your principal or the school district. And the whole idea about getting back to the good in you is that it is an anchor. When I say it's an anchor, it means it gives you balance. And being in a situation, scenario where we're not able to give ourselves balance creates all of these anxieties. I mean, I would say since I was a teenager that we have so many disorders now. And disorders really reflect what? Imbalance. So my point is that we need to get back to the good in you. And don't be afraid of selfish accomplishments, okay? And I mean selfish, small, positive accomplishments. It's okay to celebrate the small things. It's okay, hey, listen, we didn't come up with a cure for cancer, but you know what we did? We were able to help somebody who needed some help at the grocery store, maybe an elder, maybe a child learned how to ride a bike. You help them up and you spend a little time with them, or maybe if you're on a basketball court, which has been my scenario sometimes. I've been able to teach somebody just a little drill or something to help them shoot a little bit better. My point is that we all have the ability to understand our good if we're willing to dedicate ourselves and discipline ourselves and saying, you know what, I'm worthy of the results, I'm worthy of the action, and what you did mattered. These days right now with politics and things like that, we're always looking for lack of a better word, acceptance that we don't need. Let me say that again. We're always looking for acceptance that we don't need. The acceptance doesn't give us any balance. It doesn't make us feel any better. In fact, in some cases, it makes us feel worse. And what I would like to say is like, hey man, why does it matter? I'm of the ilk. Well, I believe, even before I was Muslim, that there's no one man or government that can dictate who I am, my intelligence, my intellectual capacity, my willingness to do good, my willingness to seek justice. Nobody can do that. So why do we do that now? We give ourselves a whole lot of issues with laws and things like that. But laws, I say, these are the laws of pause. These laws don't put us necessarily in a situation where we're asking questions about how good, the things we do in the world that are good. The thing about African American justice and liberty is the fact that it took so many. What's up, brother? It took so much time for us to develop our own narrative about self-worth, our own narrative about freedom and justice. And when you get into that situation and scenario, it's a unique space. When I say unique space, what I mean is you're able to better understand and narrate how you see good in your life, how you see progress in your life. So listen, that's about it for this walk and talk. Welcome to the Shout Out Show. Thank you again. Talk to you in a minute. Hey, Get back to the good in you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Preacher Moss. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. My name is Preacher Moss, host of the SOS Shout Out Show. I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday. You know, it's hump day. We're just trying to get to Thursday and Friday. Hopefully, it's a pay week for you. Um, I want to thank Imam Wazir Ali, Dr. Imam Wazir Ali, who has really worked with me on, how we communicate with our audiences and how we communicate with one another. Though I'm a comedian, a lot of that communication is very much one way, almost call and response in the terms of joke and laughter and things like that. But, just getting back to organic understanding of who we are, how we operate is just so important. I mean, this is the imperative right now. And this is the crisis point here in the United States. Do we have the ability, the capacity, the bandwidth to learn how to talk to one another, which is an interesting spot. Our topic today, of course, is getting back to the good in you. Let me say it again. The topic is called Getting Back to the Good in You. This could be a number of topics. It could be about mental health, wellness. It could be about self-worth. It could be about community. It could be about religious narrative or spiritual empowerment. It could be a lot of things. And what I'm going to do, in my best estimation, let it marinate with you in terms of how you feel about it, what it means to you. So I'm going to kind of try and keep the framework, the boundaries a little fluid. But when I started talking about this a while back, what the thing that really resonated with me was I just kept running into so many people who were frustrated, not understanding that the person who they are, the things they were done, mattered, that they had value, that a person could do a great thing on a Tuesday and on a Wednesday by the time they woke up, it's like that did not matter, that it didn't have carryover, that it didn't have meaning just outside of themselves, I mean meaning across the board. You could look at a person's character by the body of their work a lot of times. And when I say body of the work, I want to say compassion work, mercy work, doing the things and treating people a certain way when you don't have to. You don't have to go out of your way to do it. But getting back to the good in you is a thing that has intrigued me because we've gotten away from it. In fact, we are so focused on the good in other people, or the bad in other people, or the richness in other people, or the sexiness in other people, and we take it away from our own self-esteem, self-worth, and self-validation. That's a lot of selves that and we're not dealing with. And I think the larger point, and you can disagree with me. I think the larger point is we're a very look-see society now. We're a very look-see society. We are a society that basically everybody has a mirror. That mirror is basically called the telephone. That's a whole nother topic. But that mirror is constantly on you. And it's interesting. It's like if I shaved right now and I came back and looked in the mirror 15 minutes from now, there's not going to really be any growth. But I'm glued to that mirror because I want to see how this thing grows. And we're so tied into what's incremental. We're tied into what's incremental. We're not tied into, really, I want to say the word is exponential. We're not really tied into the things that give us value and gravitas in our lives. I mean, how many people wake up thinking that, the person I am is not enough for this situation? It could be work, It can be relationship, it can be family, it can be a whole lot of things. You wake up and you say to yourself or feel, you're not enough for this situation. They have a term out there, it's called imposter syndrome, and that really mirrors a little bit of what that is. And but the fact of the matter is, many of us are enough for that situation. This situation doesn't particularly suit our skills or suit our philosophical understandings or our core values, but that's okay. Everything is not going to suit it. And being able to say that I'm okay, being able to say that there is good in me, get to the good in me, it gives me balance. It gives me connection. It gives me opportunities to engage with society, engage with the community, but also it gives me an opportunity to balance the things that I see with my core values, with my philosophical understandings, with my religious imperative. And it gives a different type of quilt. It gives a different type of tonality to how we're talking to society, how we're talking to ourselves. Religion has a lot of great components to it. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, in their merit, they have a lot of great things in there. But the problem is, it's always been suspect to human interpretation. Sometimes even the best human interpretation is the worst human interpretation. That somebody from over here will say something and it's applicable over there. It's not. Spiritually, we're not made that way. Everybody has their own spiritual DNA, and sometimes something said over here doesn't fit over here. Something said over here doesn't fit over there. Something said over here, it fit 5 minutes ago. Something over here said it fit 5 years ago. My point of the matter is, there's a fluidness to who we are as individuals. The thing that doesn't change, the thing that inherently doesn't change is the good in us, unless we give it away. Unless we put it out for someone to assess the value or attach value to it, and they give it back to us. There's a thing, and I've talked about it in previous shows, with our young sisters, with our young ladies, even women, grown women have this thing about, their bodies. Well, the problem is the quote unquote judges of women's bodies and the ability also what a woman can do with her body, her right to her body, is men. And men have the worst concept of body shape. We have the worst concept. Yet, we've somehow instilled ourselves in that position to be able to say, she looks good, she doesn't look good. Not addressing the fact that there are internal things that say clearly we shouldn't be judging anybody. And then on the other thing of getting back to the good in you, I think it's important that, we create new narratives. We, what's a good way to say this? That we begin to realize that when you are looking at getting back to the good in you, you have to assess what's around you. See, getting back to the good in you is about maturing and what's around you. You may look around and say, this peer group that I am with, I've been with 3-4 years, I've outgrown that peer group. And at the same time, you may not be mature enough for the new peer group. It's a lonely period. It's an in-between type of thing, right? But I think that time that's in between is the thing that structures you, that strengthens you. Also, it frames and builds antennas to the world. There's always the classic thing, converts to this religion or people who are born again Christian. What is the toughest thing that they have to do is that when you're in that scenario, you're in that environment, that you're saved again, you're a new Muslim, what have you. When you open the door, you still have to deal with the world. And that world may contain family members, close friends, and you have to stand there and say, this is the new good in me, without saying that good is not in you, without being judgmental, without being sarcastic, without being mean-spirited. And sometimes you're going to have to take the jokes and ridicule because Folks are in their spaces. That environment is where they want to be, right? So I'm saying this because I think it's important to understand that the good in you is supposed to take you places. That the good in you is transformational. It's supposed to take you places, right? When you learn, when you go through education, junior high school, that education, college, that education is what? It's transformational. Transformational. It's meant to take you places. The good in you is meant to take you places as well. One of the places that the good in you is meant to take you is to wait for it, simply being happy. Simply being happy. People around the world, I'm not just saying the US, people have a fear of being happy, of pursuing happiness. And one of the reasons people have a difficult time pursuing happiness, and I agree with this. I was listening to a podcast earlier today. I agree with it because to pursue happiness means that you have certainty, that there is a certainty, right? Like when you say your child graduates high school and goes to college, what is the joy there? There's a certainty that they finish high school. There's a certainty that they're going to college. And you know what? We won't revisit that joy and happiness again till they graduate. Am I saying it's a bad system? Absolutely no. It's a natural system, but sometimes we don't realize that while we're waiting for this happiness, that we're waiting for this certainty, the world is passing us by. There's nobody on this podcast, there's nobody in this community that's ever woken up and just said throughout the day there wasn't one problem. Even positive things bring their own challenges. But a lot of times we figure out we'll wait it out. There was a great quote by ShOUT, and I'm bastardizing a little bit, but he said he waited for a chance to take a bite at a steak. Look at the metaphor. He waited for a chance to take a bite of the steak. He waited so long that when the steak came around, guess what? He didn't have any teeth. That is the consequence of not revisiting the good in us, brothers and sisters. I don't want to sound like I'm a happiness counselor. I'm not a happiness counselor. You know what? I'm not a happiness counselor. I'm not a certainty counselor. What I am is cognizant of things I've been through, and I've seen people go through it. Call it my radar for doing comedy. Call it teaching young children about loving themselves, teaching the parents to remind the kids to love themselves. Being in situations where it was stressful, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in education, personal life. But I think the thing that always pulled me through was the fact that in my heart, now listen to me, in my heart, it was like I need to know in my space that when it's time, when I have the ability, the opportunity, and the need, that I need to go and revisit the good in me, to look at all the things I've been able to do. Not the thing I wasn't able to do, all the things I was able to do, and build upon that and learn and grow from that situation. We're going to get into the shout out family. This is my main man. Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Big Z, he says our network is our net worth. Bring your value to the table. Well, hey man, I caught some of your videos overseas in Dubai, man. You and mom look good, brother. Alhamdulillah, you're looking good over there. I'm glad you came back. Give a shout out to Sister Ree. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Ree. What's going on, family? Hope you're doing well. You and Derek and Juwan, I hope everybody's blessed. Shout out to my little brother, JT. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, good sir. I got to holler at you a little bit later. My main man, Eric. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All the way from South Kakalaki, my good brother. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And my main man, Bilal International. That's what we call it. It's Bilal Mustafa. But we call him Bilal International. The topic, man, you just getting on here, boy. The topic is getting back to the good in you. I just put it up there for you. He says, I hope to have, I have such a self-care regimen. I love on me. There it goes. I love on me, which allows me to love on others. I think that's the thing. Got some people in Instagram land. Let me just throw this out real quickly. Kaylin Lee, Strain, how you doing? Assalamu alaikum. Hush, Hushna, I can't say that. Bilal and Sister Sonia Dalton, Salahuddin, how you doing? I got Allah's for life. What's going on, beloved? How you doing? Sister Ruth out of Houston. Dr. Khan, how you doing? The real Jake Gibbs, assalamu alaikum. Hey, Dr. Khan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Paul Galloway, shout out to you, assalamu alaikum. Amani Elabed, Ruth, Sister Ruth, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you. Thank you so much. We're going to get back to the show here. So someone asked me several years ago, they said, if you were going down a dark road, he said, if you were going down a dark road, you couldn't see much. Maybe you can make out the trees, make out the thing. He said, if this was the best of that scenario, going down a dark road, he says, what would you think about to lighten the road mentally? What would you think about to lighten this space? What would you do mentally to frame a path through here? You know, sometimes when we're in the dark, when we have familiarity with our house, we're in the dark, we can walk all the way through our house, not trip over anything, not touch a wall. You know, in life, sometimes we forget that that's what we do, that we revert to a certain type of automaticity that tells us how we, of course, engage our life, engage others in our space. And I think the thing is interesting because, you know, we take so much advice. You know, I've gotten out of being an advice guy. Also, I want to give a shout out to Sister Satana. She's not able to join us today, but she is here in spirit. She sends her salams. I think for myself to close my eyes, you know, I don't necessarily, when you close your eyes, you kind of think of the spaces that you're in, but we never really close our eyes and say, hey, man, what are all the spaces we have in it? You know, what are all, not necessarily happy places, but places that register value in our heart, in our minds, if you will. If you understand what I'm talking about, you understand this about the world, particularly the world right now. You know, there's a fight. There's a very, very devious, diabolical, methodical fight for your attention. And that tension, it comes from the fact that people are constantly trying to change how you feel about you. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to constantly see how they can get you to change how you feel about you. You know, some of the darkest things out there, everything from prostitution to drugs to crime, basically is built upon the fact that for it to be successful, you have to change the behavior of the folks you're dealing with. You know, the safest place a criminal is ever going to feel is with other criminals. You know why? Because nobody's trying to change you from not being a criminal. But in the larger scope, let's say in the mainstream, we go out, you know, you have all these things fighting for your attention. I believe this is why, this is my personal opinion, this is why you have to get back to the good in you. You have to constantly be reminding yourself of good things you do. There's a whole bunch of people in the Instagram chat. There's a whole bunch of people in the chat room right here. Shout out Show Family, Hall of Famers. You know, there's probably in a narrative I can attach to everybody in here, somebody who's done something good, somebody who did something good. Now, if I can remember that about you, can you remember that about you? Can you remember that about you when times get difficult? Can you remember that about you when people come your way and are attempting to change who you are for their benefit? Not for the greater good, but for their benefit. And it's not even a thing where people are consciously trying to get you to do something wrong or pull you out of your position. Sometimes it's just how they are because they lack the space where or the capacity to look for the good within themselves. If you take a bunch of people together who can't do it, you're the target. That's it. So let me break this down because I know we're getting to the end of this space and I only have a couple more minutes. One of the things I want to say about getting back to the good in you, you deserve it. Let me say, you deserve it. You don't need accolades from anybody else. You deserve it. You know, from a religious tent, it's always good in somebody. Sometimes even the worst people in the world, The worst people in the world. If you peel back the layers, there's something good about them. Maybe history, maybe experience, maybe bad experiences covered up that good, but there's something good there. And I say that because I equate it to the joy of a baby. The joy of a baby. And then the joy of a baby, of course, is totally egotistical. You know, the world is supposed to serve that baby, but that baby has joy. Let me say it again. That baby has joy. Unless the conditions around the baby take from the joy, we have beautiful young childhoods. That's number one. Number two, make time to enjoy yourself. Make time to enjoy yourself. Make time to sit back and appreciate who you are. You don't need other people appreciating you. They may do that. Alhamdulillah. Make time to appreciate yourself. And when I say this, I'm talking about categorically looking at things that you've done in your life that have one brought you joy, have two, not one made you brought you joy, two may have brought joy to other people, three improve the environment around you. I didn't say around everybody, I said around you. Okay. My third one is a little complicated, but I'm going to say this. Learn to stack the little things that make you happy. Learn to stack the little successes that make you happy. I keep doing this stack because it's a barrier to the rest of that stuff. Learn to stack those up. Learn to build a wall of good things, things that make you happy. And you know what? People who attempt to pierce those walls will give up. And in the best of situations, that wall gives them the premise to start looking within themselves and building walls of good things too. Am I talking about contagion? Yes. Goodness is contagion. You know, there are certain situations that I can think of. Just being around good people, just being around good people. I didn't say perfect people. I didn't say rich people. I said good people. What constitutes good people? It's people who see good in themselves. You may not even be able to know what their accomplishments were, but there's a kinship. Hear me now. There's a kinship about how you feel about that person, right? You say, that's a good brother. That's a good sister. How long you know them? All your life? No, I might have known them a year. But the character opens up and you begin to see intentionality. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about getting back to the good in you. Make it intentional. Make it a habit. Make it a discipline, but make it. All right, listen, that's the show this week. You guys have been amazing. I'll see you next week. Inshallah, we'll be going headstrong into Ramadan. I appreciate all of you. God bless. Have an exceptional Wednesday. We'll talk soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Preach Moss.